This is Helen.keit, the Keit team at Keller Williams Realty Landmark here in Queens, New York City. And we love to interview and take a little time with our valued partners, professionals who we've worked with over the years. I'm a certified senior advisor, and I have a whole range of professionals that I value their expertise. And so today we have Julie Wexler. She is the Director of Business Development for the Bristal. Great to have you here with us today. Certainly, I thank you for taking the time. So tell us a little bit about your experience.
Well, thank you so much for having me today, Helen. It's really a pleasure to be speaking with you. So yes, I am the Director of Business Development for the Bristal Assisted Living. We are a luxury senior living community. We have 15 beautiful communities right here in Nassau and Suffolk County. We have 4 in New Jersey now and 2 in Westchester. Our company has grown in the last 20 years. This is our 20th anniversary, and certainly we had a lot to celebrate, and we continue to have a lot to celebrate in 2020. The Bristal Assisted Living is really born and bred on Long Island, and that's one of the things that makes us truly unique in terms of the senior living landscape here on the island.
I remember when you first came, and certainly there are different, different assisted livings throughout the island, throughout Queens. And tell me a little bit about who would be a good referral for the Bristal.
So a good referral or candidate, if you will, for the Bristal Assisted Living, it's a variety of different folks, right? So we have those people that might be of advanced age, right? So they're living in maybe a home that they purchased many decades ago, and maybe they've outlived their spouse, maybe their friends have passed or have moved away. Their children are busy. They're finding it more and more difficult to manage the home, grocery shopping, snow shoveling, or really just finding the days lonely. Maybe they're no longer driving. So they choose to move to a senior living community where they're sort of a built-in support system, right? Not only their peers, where they can engage in an array of activities and have people to eat with, but also the staff, who in some ways become family, right? So you have those folks that are relatively independent. They might be of advanced age, and they choose to move to a senior living community for the lifestyle, for the companionship, and to make life simpler. Then we have folks who choose to move to assisted living or move to our communities because maybe they have some physical frailties or have some health issues, and they need a little assistance with showering, with dressing, with managing their medication. So those activities of daily living, if you will, are things that are starting to become more difficult for them. And so instead of having an aide come to the home, they choose to move to an assisted living community where they can get all the benefits of living with other people and also have those things taken care of for them. There are aides and nurses to oversee that part of their life. And then we have folks who might have memory loss or who otherwise have a more difficult time managing sort of their day-to-day. We know that by the time somebody is 85 years old, they actually have a 1 in 2 chance of having some kind of memory loss. The fact of the matter is people are living longer, and with advanced age comes increasing chances of developing some kind of memory loss. So they choose to move to our communities because each one of our Bristol communities has a smaller neighborhood, if you will, within the community called Reflections, which is specifically designed for folks with memory loss. So for somebody who has memory loss to the point where they're really having a more difficult time sort of managing within the assisted living environment, they might be more appropriate for Reflections. And Reflections is a smaller, more structured, more supportive environment where the staff are specifically trained and where everything that we do is designed to support them. The way that we serve the meal, the kinds of activities that we do, even the physical structure of the building is designed to support them and to make them feel safe.
Is there a reflection section in each of the Bristals, or is it just in several?
So all of our Bristol communities have a reflections neighborhood. And the Bristol Lake Success, which has been open for about 3 years, is actually all memory care. It's a 100% secured community. So it's a little bit bigger. There's about 100 apartments in that building. And the entire building is designed for people with memory loss. So all of the other 14 buildings on Long Island, yes, have a smaller community, anywhere from 20 to 60 apartments, depending on the building. And then there's the Bristol Lake Success, which is all memory care.
You know, you mentioned people being lonely. I mean, that's, you know, certainly the people I meet so many times, you know, the family will come and check in, but you know what that's like. Hi, Mom, how are you? Can I get you groceries? I'll see you later. And then they'll come back in with the next errand. It's so, you know, people want to remain in their homes, but there does come a time where I think if they're introduced and they see how much more they can enjoy things. You know, the family just often doesn't provide that solution, and they become more and more isolated. And right, we've got what we know, that those who are lonely are more prone to disease. You know, they're really studying that loneliness factor, right?
The studies show over and over again that people who live in communities like ours live better, they live longer, they live healthier. And you know, one of the things I feel sometimes is, you know, communities like ours didn't exist years ago, even 20 years ago, right? People, when they hear assisted living, their mind automatically goes, you know, to that old age home, you know, with old ladies sitting in wheelchairs with their, you know, their Afghans on their legs. And when you walk into a Bristol, even under the current circumstances, that's not what you see. It's life, they're active places, and people are often surprised when they see that. So certainly assisted living communities have certainly come a long way in the last couple of decades.
So right there, what you just said. So I know, tell me a little bit about what's going on with COVID, but also, all right, are you using virtual tours for people to get a glimpse of the, you know, your whole facility there?
Yeah.
Rather
let me just talk about what's happening with the virus, because it's certainly a question that a lot of people have, and certainly the assisted living industry on Long Island was not immune to, or not affected. We were all affected. So we actually even do have some communities on Long Island that have, to this day, still not had a positive test, but that's not the case for most of our buildings. So, you know, everything that we do in assisted living was affected by the virus, right? So early on, we actually had our residents go into quarantine before the state had even required it, because we saw kind of the writing on the wall days before. And so those were really, really difficult 3 months. Those were 3 months where residents were quarantined in their apartments. But we have certainly come a long way since then. And, you know, we're certainly following the guidelines that are issued by the state. The governor sets forth very rigid, strict, and specific guidelines, and the Bristol, of course, adheres to all of them, and sometimes changing from day to day. But where are we now? So we're at the point now where most of our buildings have instituted congregate dining again. So, you know, everything that we do in assisted living is all about the social aspect, right? It's the eating together, it's the going to activities together. There's such a focus on the socialization piece of it, just as you were talking about before. So it's hard. It's, you know, so now what do we do? So congregate dining looks different. You know, in our beautiful dining rooms, you know, 4 to a table, glass of wine with dinner. Now we have 2 people to a table. We have plexiglass dividers to maintain social distancing. We have fewer people in the dining room, so we have more meal time options so that we have fewer people in the dining room at any given time. And so, yeah, it's definitely a little different, but we're starting little by little to reestablish that routine for our residents. In terms of activities, we still have those activities. And so we were doing hallway activities, and, you know, we were quarantining residents really to specific wings of the building. That's not to have them mix, but now we are having small group activities. So the days of having 50 residents in the bistro and listening to music, those kinds of things are not happening, but we have small groups. We maintain social distancing. Everyone's wearing masks. So we are virus free in all of our buildings. Our staff has worked incredibly hard to make sure that the virus doesn't spread. And we have adhered to all the government guidelines to ensure the safety not only of our staff, but also of our residents. So in terms of virtual tours, yes. So we are not allowing anybody into our building who doesn't need to be there. And I'm sure families can understand the reasons for that. So if we have a family that's interested in touring, we do a virtual tour, and our community relations directors in our buildings have worked very hard to give us as real as an experience as it possibly could be. Certainly if there's a family that's interested in moving forward, they've left a deposit or they're very seriously considering, we then will go through the same protocols as any other visitor coming to the building. So what does that look like? Once again, this is all state regulated. These are state guidelines. You need a negative test within 7 days. There's a symptom checker as you come in. It's by appointment only 2 people at a time, and only 10% of the residents can have a guest at any given time. So we can do a tour, but it's not initially. So I hope people understand that.
That's exactly how we're selling real estate today too. We're really starting virtually. Instead of dragging people through all these homes, let's look at what's really important to you. Let's look, does this one match? Is this not what you're looking for? Let's put this aside. So we're narrowing, and we're actually being more efficient and effective. So I'm sure you're finding the same thing there.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say sets the Bristol apart from other senior living?
Well, we like to position ourselves as being the luxury brand on Long Island, right? You walk into a Bristol, we build beautiful buildings, right? But in addition to the buildings being beautiful, it's really the staff and the residents that really make it feel like home. As I was mentioning before, the Bristol is really born of Long Island. They were Long Island developers. Our owners live right here on Long Island. It's very common for them to be popping into our buildings. And I think the fact that we're still a small company with 21 communities makes it really feel like a family. So the Bristol, there's a vested interest in understanding the Long Island market, right? Many of our residents grew up in the city, right? They bought their homes in the suburbs. Now their homes are too much for them, and so they're moving to the Bristol. So sort of that understanding the Long Island mentality and understanding the Long Island market is something that's very unique to the Bristol. One of the things that I love to do is part of my job in working for the Bristol is really educating people on not just assisted living options, but other things related to aging, right? Is assisted living the right option for you? Is the doctor that you're going to the right doctor to go to? If you're caring for your mother with Alzheimer's, are you connected to a caregiver support group? Are you connected to an Alzheimer's organization? If you're thinking about selling your home, it's so overwhelming to think about that, right? The home that your parents may have lived in for 60 years. So are you connected with a real estate agent like Helen.keit, who understands the different kinds of dynamics related to a family selling, a family home, or an elder moving out of her house? Do you know a senior move manager who's going to help you pack up all the stuff and decide what to do with all the heirlooms, or help you or handhold you through that moving process? Have you spoken to an elder law attorney to help you figure out the long-term planning goals that you might have for yourself? Do you have the legal documents that you're supposed to have in place? So it's not just about moving your mother into the Bristol. It's about really creating a support structure for the entire family. So part of my job, I do a lot of those educational events, and those are the things that are important to me.
Yes, and good for you, because it's so overwhelming moving at any age, let alone at this point. So it's best to have that team of professionals in place that you can really rely on and that are your support system to move forward. It's great. Know your options. Where do you see the industry going, Julie?
So certainly things have changed in the last 7 months. You know, I think what we were finding was that people were staying put in the beginning. But the fact of the matter is sometimes people just need care. And so I really want people to know that assisted living can be and is a safe place for people to be right now. Like I said, our buildings are virus free. Our staff is working very hard. You know, people are still engaged. People are still eating well. People are still participating in activities and getting their medicine. And it is so hard for families, and the visitation policies are very difficult. But the fact of the matter is sometimes people need care, and assisted living is still a good option. So we're hoping that with time will come a vaccine, and with that will come more peace of mind. But we also just want people to know about, and at least consider, at least have the conversation, right? We hear all the time, oh, you know, we promised dad we would never move mom into one of those places. Well, maybe dad didn't know that the Bristal existed, or thought the Bristal was a nursing home, or that it wasn't this beautiful luxury environment where mom can thrive and be with her peers and eat good food and make it life easier for the rest of the family. So we at least just encourage people to have the conversation, right? Maybe assisted living is the right fit for your family, maybe it's not, but you don't know until you have the conversation. Having said that, we also know that all assisted livings are different, right? There's, you know, and one of the things I encourage people to do is sort of test drive it, right? Before the crisis happens. Don't wait for mom to be in the hospital, for mom to be in the rehab with a discharge pending in 2 days to start looking for assisted living. Look for them now, because there's something for everyone. People sometimes think that the Bristal is out of their price range, but there actually are some Bristal options that are priced more affordably. We even have Medicaid beds in our community in Lynbrook, which people sometimes don't know. So different options for different people, and we encourage people to, you know, explore what those options are before the crisis happens.
Very, very good advice, right? Not in an emergency situation. Well, this has been very helpful, Julie. How nice to have you come with us today. I would like to see one of those virtual tours. I think that's great. And I'll certainly, maybe I could add it on to this. I think that might be an excellent thing to do. So we thank you. We're going to send you a little copy, and Julie's information is all going to be attached here, so you can reach her at any point. Be well.
Okay.
Stay
Thank you.
healthy. Take care, and thanks again.
You too. Bye-bye. Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.